Hello everyone and welcome. Today we are making a super fun card with some Hero Arts product. What I have here today is the contents of the My Monthly Hero for August 2026, and I've also got the My Monthly Superhero contents. Now this is called the Tiny Library Die Set. This makes a tiny library, but this is a huge die set. You can see how many pieces there are. In addition to that, the My Hero includes the library card and pocket die set. This pairs nicely with the library card stamp and cut. And so what you have here is a little envelope that you can slide your little library card in. You've got some birthday elements, a heart, a variety of different pieces, flower element. And then we have the library card stamp and cut. And basically, this is your library card, and you've got a lot of sentiments. We're going to use the library card for the inside of our card today. These sentiments are overdue. Happy birthday. Thank you. You're the best. I miss you. You are literally the best. Check you out. And there are a bunch of tiny, tiny sentiments, too, that you can add along with the dies to cut some of those out. So that's nice. And included in the My Monthly Hero, you've also got 10 sheets of cardstock. And this is Spellbinder's cardstock, and you're getting half sheets of cardstock. So you're getting 5.5 by 8.5. And so this is a half sheet of Spellbinder's cardstock. And the colors that are included in there are truffle and fawn and alabaster, seaside mint, Tuscan, terracotta, carrot, coral, and Bellini. And one of them is, you're seeing 9 there. I've got one of them tucked behind the other, and we'll pull it out. And there we go. So we've got our 10 colors, and it's a really beautiful color palette. And you've got 10 pieces. So that is the My Hero portion of the kit. Now I also have the Superhero contents, and so I'm going to go through those and show you those now. The add-on to the Superhero is the novel greetings stamp and cut. And this has got a bunch of greetings for your novels. These include a lifetime of thank yous, our friendship is one for the books, happily ever after, hope this year is a page turner, the little book of many thanks, and a tale of gratitude are the stamps that are on that. And then you've also got the coordinating dies to that, which is fantastic. Those are really scrolly loop-de-loops, and so you really want the die for that. And then we have the big book die set, and this creates a great big book, and you've got some spectacles, and you've also got a book marker. And so you can see this is a really large die set as well. And so you can just create a big book with this. We'll be working with this on my channel on another day, but today we're not. And here's just a little picture of it. And then there is also the classic floral layering stencil set that you can pair with the big book to create a nice little cover for your book. This stencil includes 4 layers, and you basically have your stems. I'm going to get them out of here and I'll show them to you real quick. I'm going to pull them out of the plastic. But you've got your stems for the first layer, and then for the second layer you've got your leaves, and then the third layer is your flowers, and then you've got like some confetti looking, I don't know what that is, but anyway, so that is the stencil. We'll not be working with it today, but here's all the contents of the whole kit there. And we're just going to pull together a tiny little library. So I started out by cutting all of my cardstock down into A2 size panels because I know I'm not going to use them for anything larger than that. And that way I could pull some out and actually start doing my die cutting. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select some colors here that we're going to use, and we're going to get to creating our little tiny library. And I decided to use the seaside that was included in the kit for the frame, like the outside frame of my little tiny library. I'm going to use white for this piece that looks like the house, and then for like the frame and the peak of the roof, I'm going to use the seaside, and then for my windows and some of my embellishment, I'm going to bring in coral. So we're going to pair the seaside and the coral along with some white, and we're just going to kind of go with that for our color scheme. So I'm going to do a bunch of die cutting, and then we'll come back in and we'll do some of our assembling. So I left the die cutting in, but I decided to speed it up a little bit to about 3.5 times. So I'm just using my little scout, and I'm just going to do all of my die cutting and get all of our pieces ready, and then we'll get to assembling our card. So today is the first day that I've had some free time. It's Saturday. It's after the week after VBS, and I don't have the kids, and I had some free time, so I spent a little time trying to get get kind of caught up on some content and stuff. I've done some deliverables that were required of me. I have a couple design teams that I've on that I had deadlines, and I cranked 2 of those out. And then I thought I would get started on this Hero Art so that I can run this on the first of the month. I will tell you, these kits sell out very quickly. I know I said that last month. I'm not sure if any of my viewers got to get them because they sell out so quickly. So I'm going to have this thing ready for the very first moment that the kit is available, so that if you are interested, you can pick it up, and I would encourage you to do that if you're interested as soon as you can. Just giving you the heads up because they do sell out fast. And I know I had some viewers that were disappointed that didn't get them last month, and so I was just trying to kind of give you the heads up. No high pressure sells or anything. I just want to make you aware that is kind of a situation with these kits. Super fun, but you almost have to get them ahead of the release to get them. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm just going to continue to die cut. But so Pat and I actually had some free time, and we got to go out to breakfast at one of our little favorite places. Actually, brunch. We eat a late breakfast and went and had that. And then we decided to shampoo our carpets since we had some free time. And the boys have been playing pretty hard and heavy all summer. And so when we got home, we kind of moved all the furniture out of the great room as much as we can, and Pat shampooed it. And so I've been kind of locked in, boo-hoo, my craft room as the floors were drying and have been able to just sit in here and play most of the afternoon, which is, not a bad problem to have at all. And then Pat went and kind of ran around and did some errands and stuff. And so I've had some quiet time, and I've just been cranking out some content. I've got a lot of new things that I want to share with you this month, and I think we're going to have some fun content. So you can see I'm pulling that coral in, and I think it looks really pretty. And I like the colors. They're very soft and light, and I thought they'd just be a really fun card combination of colors. I can't speak. Now, our schools in our area have these little tiny libraries outside of each one of them. And at the, I don't know, I guess pre-K, lower grade school, I don't know what they refer to that as, but we have preschool and kindergarten, first and second at one school. Then we've got 3rd through 5th at another, and then 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then the high school is how our schools. Anyway, at the pre-K, they have one, and as I have taken my grandsons to school, we have taken books out before and read them and then took them back and put them in, and it's always fun for the kids to kind of reach in there and pick out what they would like to read and then to also put them back in. So super fun. We've got these. I am also aware of at least 2 neighborhood tiny libraries in our town as well. There's one on the north side that I'm very familiar with, and then there's one on the south side. Now, if there are more than that, I'm not aware of it, but I'm specifically aware of those. So we've got some tiny libraries around in the neighborhood that you can check some different books out and, just kind of take them and leave them and do some reading. So super fun. So I have die cut this roof out 3 times because this white cardstock that I've got here, this is what I mistakenly bought thinking I was getting heavy cardstock, and it was not. I didn't get the right, I don't know, GSIs or whatever. It said 110 pound, but the GSIs were not right, and it definitely was not thick cardstock at all. So I chose to layer 3 up because I'm using Spellbinders cardstock for the other, and it is good heavy cardstock. And so I wanted to make that white stand up above it because we kind of got our eave of our roof there, and it should, jut out a little bit. So these windows are scored so that you can make them kind of half open. And so I'm just kind of bending them a little bit so that I've got an opened look to it. Now this little piece here is the shelf that goes inside the tiny library. And I'm just going to line it up on my craft mat and give it a press. I thought about putting 2 shelves in, but I realized that the frame of the window probably would cover it up anyway, so then I chose not to do that. So I'm going to lay my trim around my little window there, and I'm showing you there is a debossed detail area where the handles go on the little windows, and it's very nice so that you know exactly where to put them. Now this is like the little circle window that's going to go up in the eave of the library. And I've just brought in a darker teal. I wonder what color that is that I chose to bring in for that. I think it's Waterfall, and put behind there. And then I've got my coral on top of it, and we'll just lay that down on there. And we've got some dimension because I used a little foam square, and it turned out that was a good thing because I'm going to lay my banner, and it will allow me to tuck my banner underneath that little window. Now here I'm using my magnet and just kind of holding it up on that line, and I'm using the point of my roof for the line to help me keep it straight. Now I've got that assembled, and now I went off camera and I die cut out all of the little book pieces, the banner pieces, my flower pot, my flowers, and all of the little bits and pieces, and now I'm going to get to assembling those. Now these are tiny, and so right now what I'm assembling is the decorative handle piece to the door handles. And so I'm just putting the tiniest bit of glue on there, and I've die cut my handles out in white, and then I've got the blue on there, and so I'm just trying to get them lined up, and these are the little handles for my little doors, and I'm going to get those laid down on there. I'm using my fingers to blot off any extra glue just so I don't have a gluey mess, and then just trying to lay them on that debossed area and get them lined right up with it. And then we'll get our next one assembled, and these are tiny pieces. Now I've made a couple of videos in advance, and so sometimes the things that I talk about might seem a little out of date just because I'm talking about it. But today, as I was making this, I was getting pictures and videos from my daughter. My grandsons got to go on that train ride today. I think I'm airing a video on the 3rd that I'll talk about it. And this will actually air before that. But anyway, it looks like they had a blast. They're not back yet, but she gave me pictures and videos of it, and they got to go on their first train ride. So I know that my oldest grandson is super stoked about it because he's big into trains, which both of them are. We go and watch the trains all the time when I have them during the week. We go down to the train track and try to catch the trains when they go in, and they really get excited about them. And they have a wooden train set that they play with a lot. So today I think they had a super good time. They're probably on their way back by now, maybe napping in the car because I'm sure they were wound up getting to do that. But anyway, so that was fun to see those pictures and to kind of take breaks in my crafting and look at the pictures and the videos. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get these banner pieces laid down on there, and they're moving around on me. So I'm trying to get them lined up straight. And I'm just bringing in a variety of the colors, just kind of reintroducing the colors that we've been using and creating our banner here, just a fun banner. I am going to have a white banner in the middle, and then we'll add some more of the coral and the seaside on there. And just lining them up. So we'll get this laid down on there. I think my carpets are probably... I've been in here for a good while, so they're probably starting to dry. I can eventually venture out. I might be able to kind of hang on to that. I have to stay in the craft room for a little bit longer. But we don't really have anything planned for today. Pat and I both are pretty exhausted because we lead very, very busy schedules. I amazed myself and slept until 8:30 today. I usually get up very early. But I guess I needed to catch up after all the activity we've had going on. And so I slept till 8:30. I was thrilled. So I've got my little flower pot here and my little flowers, and it's super cute. We're going to add it to our library. This was our bee. I used a really light yellow on the bees because I didn't want kind of that bright yellow with the color scheme that I had. Excuse me, I'm getting a little raspy here. So I just paused and got myself a little drink of iced tea, and I'm just going to create some different books, and I'm just using the same colors that we have used on the card. I did introduce Oceanside, which is a deep dark teal, and I thought it would pair nicely and just kind of give us a little bit of a different color in there. I just felt like we could add a little darkness on the inside and just kind of make our books look a little bit different. I just had a phone call come in, so I had to pause and then figure out where I was at and pick back up. So sometimes it's challenging to get a voiceover done with different things going on in life. Your phone rings and messes you up, or noises. I had on the video that I think runs on the 3rd, in the middle of it, I had a firework that went off, startled me, and was right in the middle of the voiceover. I actually left it in and talked about the situation that was going on, but anyway, it can be a challenge. Plus, just trying to come up with just something interesting to talk about when you or have a long video in which you're assembling a card, and there's only so many times you can say, I'm going to glue this here and stick this down there and this, so I try to add a little bit about what's going on in my life just so that you kind of get to know me and can be maybe a little bit entertaining. So, okay, so we've got all of our books assembled. I've got my one little shelf there, and I just need to figure out how I'm going to position these on the shelves. So I've got, I don't know, what have I got? 5 different books, and I've got a flower pot is what I've got. And so I'm just going to mess around with these and try to figure out how I want to position them. And I'll keep bringing my doors in, the frame and the doors, just to see if I've got them positioned right. And I mean, I'll do that a bazillion times to see if it's going to work. And I was pointing out that I had thought about putting a shelf in there, but that frame is going to enable me not to need to have one, because we're going to glue that down. And I'm thinking this is how I'm going to do, but I'm going to keep testing it over and over and over again, and I will rearrange things. And I felt like the books needed to be some on one side and some on the other, and not just all of the books on the one side is what I decided to do. And so I'm going to move them around, and I'll just keep working on them and getting them how I want them. So I'm going to get a couple of these glued down, and then we'll reposition again and check it. And so what I decided was that these 2 books, big books here, would fill in the one window, and so then I could probably put that other small book on the bottom is what I'm going to conclude with, because it's going to be covered up by my doors. Now, if you did choose to open the doors, which you can because I didn't glue them down, you could still see the books, but I'm just going to keep working it until I get it how I want it. I'll actually bring in another die and add another different type of book to it. So here's where I positioned it over here. Oh gosh, I'm getting froggy again, so I had to grab my tea. Was on the phone just chatting, and then came back to this, and so I'm getting a little bit froggy. And so I'll just get this positioned. There is a die in this set that does like an open book where you're looking at the back of the book. And so I'll go off camera and decide to bring it in, and it will help me to fill in some space that I've got going. And then we'll have kind of some additional interest, and it'll look different. So here I've got them all glued down. I'm going to pause and find something to go in this square here. And so I'm going to bring in my Seaside and some white cardstock, and it's a 2-piece die. The bigger piece is the back of the book, and then the smaller piece is the pages of the book. And so we're going to use the Seaside and then some white, and we'll die cut these out. And then this will make a nice little addition to kind of fill in that white space there. So we'll just get our pieces together here, and we'll get them assembled. And I've got to use my tweezers. My cutting plate is getting well used, and so things are wanting to stick, so I'm using my tweezers. So you're just going to line it up on here like this. I'll just put a little bit of glue on there, and then I'll just pick up my pages with my little book here, and we've got that, and we can put that in there, and that way we've kind of got a book that was kind of open and is setting inside there. I actually decide to bring in, there's a little flower that is included with this set, and I'm going to bring it in. We'll die cut it out, and we'll embellish this a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down, and I'm thinking I would like to have another little pop of color on there, so that's when I decide to grab the flower, and we'll bring in some of that coral cardstock and some white, and we'll get our flower. Now there are a couple of other dies that I did not use for this card here. There is a worm for the bookworm, which I think is super fun, you could use. And then there's a heart that you could use as well. Now I could have used the heart on my little book. I think that would have looked cute, but I opted to go with the flower. And I think it's kind of big for the back of the book, but I'll decide to go ahead and go with it anyway. So I've got the center, and I just die cut it out in white, and we'll get it layered up on there. I got a big bunch of glue on there, try to clean it up, and then give it a press. And then we're just going to look at the flower. I'm thinking, oh, I don't think it's going to work there. I'll mess around with it a little bit, and then I'll decide to go ahead and get it laid on there. And to save a little bit of time on the video, I did kind of cut out where I was kind of waffling on whether I was going to lay that on the inside or not, but I thought it would just add a little, some of that coral on that side of it. And I think it's super cute. I like the color scheme, and I like how it's come together. So we're going to go ahead and get this laid down on there. I thought for a minute about bringing in some thin foam and just popping it up, and then I decided just go straight to the glue and just glue it down. And I'm just doing the outer edge so that I don't glue my door shut, and then we'll just get it positioned down, and then the recipient can open the doors if they'd like and kind of peek in there a little bit. It does kind of, I've got them kind of to where they lift a little bit so you can tell that it is open. Now here's my banner, and this is where using the foam on the little circular window was helpful, because I can just nestle this banner in up underneath there and make it fit, and it worked out nice. And I'm going to take the hello. I did go ahead and create it, and I'm going to lay it down on here. Now this is going to be a birthday card. It's going to say hello on the outside, but we are going to make it a birthday card on the inside. I've got my two little bees there, and I brought in some more of that seaside cardstock, and I gutted the center out because I don't like to waste and cover up a lot of Spellbinders cardstock. So I gutted it out, and I'm going to actually use it for the inside of my card. At first I didn't think I was going to do that, and then I realized that it would be fun to do that. So I've got this white panel here, but I feel like it needs some embossing. So I just brought in this little flower embossing folder, and I'm going to add some texture to it. And I think it'll add just an extra little dimension to our card. So we'll get it laid down in here. It will cover up the area in which I have die cut out the center of that panel. And we'll just get it laid down on here. And I like the texture that it adds, and I like the white, clean look of it. So we'll get it laid down on here. And then this little library set, it's big. I mean, it's going to hang off the top of that white panel, and it's going to hang down below it as well. So we'll get our little tiny library laid down on there, and we've got those little bees. We're going to use those for some embellishment on the front of it. And I think it comes together really cute. So I'm going to put one bee up here, and then I'm going to bring one bee down below, and we're just going to have a couple of bees. And like I said, I just used a real light yellow for the bee body because I just didn't want that stark yellow. And I think it's super cute. Now we're going to do the inside, and this is where we're going to bring in the stamp set, and we are going to stamp it up. I brought in my Big Misty for this because it has got a sticky grid mat on it, and so I'm finding a real sticky spot because it's kind of a big stamp, and I didn't know if I'd have room to put my magnet on there, which I actually do have a little bit of frame around here. I did not use the die set that is included for this particular stamp. I actually used an A2 nested die, and so it's a little bit larger than that, but it works out just fine. It's got a nice little frame around it. And then I'm just going to ink it up with some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink and give it a good press. And then we have got our little library card. I did give it a couple presses. I saved you the time and cut that out. And then for the inside of this, I want to make it a birthday card, and I've decided to use the Happy Birthday sentiment, and I'm just going to line it up on my library card there, and then we'll stamp it up and we'll get it pressed. And I'll do a couple different stampings on this. I want to get it nice and neat. I'm trying to, you can see I'm pressing very lightly. When you've got little fine sentiments, you want to kind of press lightly so you don't squish them and kind of make them look nasty. And so I'm going to clean that off, put that away. And then there are a bunch of little tiny sentiments that I think will fit on these lines. And so what I've chosen is You're Amazing. So it's going to say happy birthday, and it's going to say "You're amazing" on this line. And I'm going to get it lined up on there. Now, I am having trouble with the stamp sticking to me, so I've got the positioner tool from Spellbinders, and this is what you move your pieces with, and it will help me line it up. And I think I got it lined up really nice. I was really surprised and quite happy. So I'm going to be very gentle with this one because it is teeny tiny, and it is a very fine stamp. So anywho, so I've got that ready to go, and I'm going to lay it down on the inside of my little small library card, and we've got our inside sentiment. I think it's super fun. And then you can just sign it. You can write on the lines and sign your name to it, and you've got a fun birthday card. So I've taken some pictures for you to look at. I think it's super cute. If you like this type of content, I've got a playlist here where you can watch some more videos. Thanks for watching.